Welcome back to eSIM Studios. My name is Taylor Bell. It's a pleasure to have you join us today. I have some new information in regards to the upcoming Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. That's right, the release is just around the corner. I believe the launch date is January the 17th. Now, we did a video yesterday. If you want to go ahead and reserve one, the Samsung official reservation page is live. You can save, I believe it was at least $50 on your next Galaxy. But as our yesterday's video, we break down the details, and you can actually save up to $100 if you get the S24 Ultra. And you can also, if you reserve a Galaxy and include a trade-in device, you will save $1,020 on your next Galaxy. Basically a no-brainer. Anyways, if you want that information, please check out our yesterday video. Today we have some benchmark scores. Now, take it for what you will. Benchmarks, some people love this stuff. Some people, take it with a grain of salt. I don't necessarily judge my devices on benchmark scores. I'm kind of like in the middle, right? Because, look, I'm not a gamer. I don't have one single game on my device, but I do heavy multitasking. Heavy. So it sort of, I do a bunch of video editing. Anyways, long story short, I do everything except games, heavy multitasker, tons of apps open in the background. So I'm going to need a heavy duty, super high performing CPU, and this Galaxy has just that. Now, this is an overclocked. It says it's a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. Now, you'll hear at the launch Samsung say, or you'll see the tagline "Made for Galaxy," and basically they're gonna say it's a special modified Snapdragon CPU just for Galaxy, and I guess technically that's true, but all they're doing is just overclocking it, right? And not a massive amount where you're going to overheat, no, but it is turned up like a little bit, right? So that's all that they're doing is overclocking it, but that does mean you should see better performance and or benchmark scores compared to other 8 Gen 3 Snapdragon CPUs. Man, we are going to check out the scores that just leaked. We're also going to compare them to other devices running the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. There is the Xiaomi 14 Pro that is running the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, and there is the the OnePlus 12 is going to be released with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, and we have those scores. So we'll compare it and see where we're at, and you'll also see how well it performed over the current model, the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. Before I hit record, I just ran another benchmark on this with Geekbench 6, and I got the highest score I've ever gotten in my life just right now with this device. So, yeah, but we'll get into it. So, we have that, and then what else was I going to say? Let's see here. Well, I guess there is nothing much else to say. Let's get into the details. Let's get into the leaks. So, let me pull this banner down so you can see myself. This was blocking on the last stream. Let's pull up. Let me pull up my. All right. So here's a screenshot of the benchmark test I just ran on my S23 Ultra with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. I got a single core score. Now this is the CPU, not the GPU, the CPU, of 1945, which is really good. And the second score you see there, 5340, it's the highest score I've ever gotten for the multi-core score on my Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 S23 Ultra. I don't know where this came from. I was like, you know what? Let me run the test again, and so we can compare it to the scores that leaked. So now this is on the. Now, over time, as you know, this is why I love Android and not Apple, because Apple actually, it's been proven in courts, they slow down their devices over time to kind of entice you into thinking something's wrong with your phone, it's getting old, and then hoping you upgrade to a newer iPhone. Android is the opposite. Androids get better over time, get better with each update. So this is the most up-to-date software on the S23 Ultra available as of today, January 4th, 2024. So it could be very, very fine optimized. Now, the last time, I believe it got an update since the last benchmarks, because I did run a test between the Nothing Phone 2, the S23 Ultra, and the Pixel 8 Pro. I did a benchmark test between all three of those. And this score you see on the screen was higher than that one. And then the previous one I did when I first got the device about 11 months ago, it was nowhere near this. I think it was like 4,700. So fine-tuned, finely optimized. Look, it's still, my S23 Ultra is still the best Android phone you can buy. And they're coming out with a more badass version here in just a few days. But let's look into their new score. So 1945 for single core, 5340 for multi. So let's check out what it scored. Can everybody see? I wish I could zoom in a little bit. I can't, can I? Damn it. So they got 2297 for the single score. I wonder if I can do this. Damn it. Okay, so 1945 for the S23 Ultra, 2297 for the S24 Ultra, and then 5340 for the S23 Ultra, 7104, it's pretty good, for the S24 Ultra. And down here, it's hard to read text, but basically gives you the details of the device and the CPU. This is the model number, internal model number from Samsung for the S24 Ultra, you see up here. And then it breaks down all the specs from the CPU, but that's a really, really badass score. Now, if you're wondering, I wonder what other Snap, because that's what I was running. I was like, that's pretty damn good. But then I was thinking, you know what are the other Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 devices running scoring? Now, albeit there's only officially at this moment, this very second, there's only, I believe, could be wrong, only one device available that you can literally purchase right now with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. That's the Xiaomi 14 series, 14 Pro. The OnePlus device, OnePlus 12, is going to be released internationally in 3 days, or at least in China, but you can still buy one on AliExpress. And then the global version, where you can buy in the US or on Amazon, I think is going to be released on the, I don't know, 12th or something like that. So it's literally here in just a few days. But I was wondering, well, how does that compare to the other? You know, it looks good compared to the last year's model, but how does it compare to other devices running the same CPU? Well, I pulled some numbers and let's check those out. So the Xiaomi 14 Pro got a single, can y'all see that? Got a single, let's see, Xiaomi 14 got a single core performance of 2210 and 7046. Okay, so the Pro scored a few higher. So the 14 got this, and the 14 Pro got a little higher. May have little, tweaks here and there in the Pro version. So 2222, and then almost 7,500 in the multi-score. Jesus. So that's even higher than the S24 Ultra. 2222 and 7495. So let's pull this up. Okay, so actually the S24 Ultra scored higher in the single core, but scored a little less in the multi-core. So take it for what you will. Look, and look, every time you test this, every time you test the performance of your device, it's going to be a different score every time, right? There's a lot of different factors that go into play in these final scores. The heat, how hot your device is, just the optimal performance. It's just like a car, right? If something's loose in your car, or you have a full tank of gas compared to a fifth of a tank, you're going to be run quicker and faster in the car that has a fifth of a tank of gas, because the full tank weighs more, is more heavier, right? So you're going to get different scores on the same vehicle. You're going to get different scores. It'll relatively be right around those same scores, but and look, this is still pre-released. The Xiaomi, I believe, is official. This is leaked. However, I'm sure it's pretty close to what the final scores are going to be. Now, it could get better, as I mentioned, as mine did, got better and faster and better performing over time with faster updates. Because here's the deal with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, with these CPUs, they tweak them right over time, and not meaning just for high performance, but just every little thing in the code, in the kernel, how everything interacts with your phone, right? They implement something in the kernel down the line, or there's driver updates down the line, system updates down the line, 3, 4, 5, 6 months from launch, and it tweaks. It makes things run more efficient, faster. So it should get better from here on out, because as I mentioned, when I first got this S23 Ultra, it was nowhere near these scores. Now, was it close? I think it was like 1400 for the top number, and maybe, like I said earlier, 4700 for here. So these scores for the S24 Ultra, it theoretically should get a little better over time, and as they tweak and know how to fine-tune the CPU as time goes on. But let's look at the OnePlus 12 as well. Where did that score? So the OnePlus 12 single core Geekbench 6 scored 2169, so the S24 Ultra got better than that. The device recorded a score of 6501. Damn, that's not that great. The OnePlus 12's Chinese. Oh, that's the Chinese variant. Okay. I mean, it gives us a good ballpark, right? A good kind of idea. So it looks like they still have, time to fine tune it. I don't think the Xiaomi one is overclocked. But when you get scores like that, but when you get scores like this for the Xiaomi, because remember, the Samsung one is slightly overclocked. I'm not sure if Xiaomi has Qualcomm overclocked their CPUs. Again, where did that stack up? 74.95. Okay, so it did score better than the S24 Ultra. Of course, that phone's been out. The Xiaomi 14's been out for three weeks already, so I guess they would have a head start, although these phones have been in development for years, I guess, technically, but the CPU's been available to them for about a year, because Qualcomm announced this CPU at their yearly event in early December. However, it's not like they just say voila and here's the CPU. They develop these things years in advance. So behind the scenes, Qualcomm is working with Samsung, Qualcomm's working with Xiaomi, Qualcomm, who makes the CPU, is working with OnePlus, with these manufacturers in the background. They probably had details and been testing this 8 Gen 3 CPU, and I'm saying Qualcomm probably for 3 years in advance, and then 3 years in the past they've been designing it, and then actually physically having a CPU to tweak for the manufacturers probably has been available for 8 months, something like that. So all this is, really predetermined and tweaked, and we just get the final product, right? But God, tons of money, tons of R&D, research and development goes into this stuff. But gives you a sneak peek of what you can expect with the S24 Ultra. Now, the S24 Plus and S24 are gonna have slightly reduced scores. Slightly. It'll be right there. It'll be close to those numbers. But it's not gonna be exactly. The Ultra is Samsung's Ultra flagship, so they're gonna give priority and to the Ultra model. It will have the highest scores. It's the highest priced. It's their high seller. The Ultra model for the S23 Ultra, S22 Ultra, and I believe S21, but it really took off with the 22 because it had the pen, right? So the S22 Ultra and the S23 Ultra both sold more than the regular model and the Plus model combined. So that should give you an idea of where Samsung, of course, they're going to promote and advertise their base flagship and their Plus flagship, but the Ultra is where the money's at for Samsung. That's where the bragging rights are at. Now, real quick before we get out of here, this Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 I've seen benchmark scores where it's beaten the Apple's CPU, and that's never happened before. So I wonder where these scores stack up versus the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Let's find out real quick. I did not think of that before this video, and I'm doing it on the fly. But knowing me, I definitely want to look into it. So let's do it on the fly. So let's see. I guess I will Google iPhone 15 Pro Max let's see, iPhone 15 Pro Max benchmarks. Let's see. Okay, so there's the iPhone. So this one's saying the iPhone 14 Pro Max scored 2500 in single core and 6600 multi-core. Okay, but we want the best of the best, right? So let's see. Well, let's see what this says. Oh shit. So the CPU benchmark, this is Geekbench's official website. Wow, sure is. So here you have it. The single core for the iPhone 15 Pro Max scores higher than the S24 Ultra. iPhone 15 Pro Max got a single core score of 2896. And remember, the S24 Ultra has got, what is it, 2297. So the iPhone, so they do beat it in single core. Now multi-core for the iPhone 15 Pro Max scored 7194 and 7104. So basically neck and neck. Now this is with the S24 Ultra. Now remember, the Xiaomi 14 Pro got a score of 7500, which is way higher than Apple's highest score. So, and I guarantee you, look, we're going to do tons of testing. I've already put my reservation in. We're definitely getting one. And that'll be one of the first things I do. We're going to benchmark it. We're going to compare it against all the other phones we have here. And I want to compare those scores because, look, again, could be slightly higher. I guess technically it could be slightly lower too, but I expect it to at least be what these specs are. They usually get an update on day one for whatever the latest security patch is. So we'll update it and we will test it out and see where it stacks up and see if we can beat this multi-core score. I don't think the S24 Ultra with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 will be able to beat the single core performance, but I do believe it'll beat the multi-core. So definitely stay tuned. We are the home. Okay, check this out. I was called out. It was when the Pixel 8 Pro was launched. And they were like, somebody in the comments said that I was such a, a Pixel fanboy. Called me out for being a Pixel fanboy. And that's when the Pixel 8 Pro was coming out. So, I do a lot of content on what, the devices that are coming out. And I was like, well, and I replied back and I said, I wasn't rude and whatever. I said, well, you obviously haven't seen much of the channel, because I said, yes, you're right. Not only am I a Pixel fanboy, I'm also a Samsung fanboy. I'm also a Nothing Phone fanboy. I'm all of the above. Yes, it's possible to be fanboys of more than just one manufacturer. I love a bunch of different Androids. Like, look, the S24 Ultra is about to come out. We're gonna have a lot of content on the S24 Ultra. When the Pixel 9 series comes out in October, I'm gonna have a ton of content on the Pixel 9 series. So, yes, that's what it's about. That's what the channel's about, right? I did get invited to CES. I will not be going this year. It's literally next week. I just don't have time. So I just was approved this morning. But good news is I will try to we'll make this a yearly thing and start it on the next CES event. And then I should be able to go to the Pixel 9 release. Speaking of the Pixel 9, I was invited this year and was not able to attend in San Francisco, but we're going to try to make the Pixel 9 launch in San Francisco this year. So, yes, we love Pixel, we love Samsung, we love nothing, and maybe OnePlus again if they can get in my good graces here. It looks like they're trending in the right direction. And all the above. Nothing fanboy. Yes, I am all the above. So, thank you for joining us. Stay tuned to eSIM Studios YouTube channel for all of your Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra content, launches, launch party, news, all the above. We got the content that you're looking for. So, appreciate the time, and I will see you tomorrow as always.